Jono Catliff is one of the best automation teachers on YouTube. He has an excellent class called Master N8N in 2 hours, in which he helps you learn the N8N platform by example. I took some of his examples and I recreated them and then reimagined them in order to teach lessons and reinforce what Jono teaches. I was a programmer for very many years. I think that if you run into some programming problems with no-code and low-code automation, that a little bit of knowledge will get you through the tough times, because programming concepts are relatively easy, but if you don't know them, they can be game stoppers. So I'm going to teach in this video how to create a submission form like Jono did in his video, where you're capturing leads. In this case, you're hoping to sell image creation for social media to potential customers. You give them the choice of generating an image of either a cat sleeping on a couch or a cat sleeping on a person. We're not actually going to create the images in this video because it would be too complicated for the purpose, which is to teach basic N8N concepts. So we're going to send them an image of a cat on a couch and an image of a cat sleeping on a person that we created prior to this video. It's possible that the person at the forum says, yeah, my business does need image creation through AI, and that's something that you can sell them. So then you ask them, what is the budget that they have? And based on their answer, you're going, for example, if they have an interest in image creation services that you sell, of storing their information in a Google Sheet for follow-up later on. But also, if their budget is high enough, you might send them yourself an email saying you have an important lead in that spreadsheet, but only send yourself that email if the lead does have a good budget. So in this video, you'll learn how to create this automation with the understanding that we're not going to create the images, and that using the N8N native form creator is a little bit sketchy, and you'd probably want to use a professional form builder for one of the glitches that will come up. This form submission trigger does not exist on your screen. You'll be offered triggers, but because it does exist on my screen, it's not showing up by default, but it will be under N8N form. And when you click on that, you'll get this node that we have in front of us here. So let's make this a little bigger and look at it. This node is going to create the form that you see popped up here. It's going to ask for the customers or potential customers' name, first name, last name, email, what kind of image that they want generated for them for free, and whether they're interested in the service of getting images created for them, and if so, what their budget is. The glitch in N8N forms is that even if they say they're not interested, they will be asked for a budget, which they can say not needed. But if they are interested, we still need to ask them, give them the option of the budget being not needed, because we have to give that option to the people who say no. So a professional form builder will be able to give you conditionals where you say, well, if they do have a budget, offer them $1 to $999 and $1,000 and above. But if they do not have a budget, then don't even ask them about the budget. This is a limitation of N8N forms. But in order to get the concept of building an automation like this, it's a good mock data exercise. So they'll fill in this form, and we'll say it's Joan, customer, filling in the form. And we'll say that she wants a cat sleeping on a person image. She does need this service, so you might want to contact her, and her budget is over $1,000 a month. And you click on Draw Me a Cat. And you get an error because this has been sitting up here for a very long time, and it timed out. So let's do that again. So Joan, customer. So the form gets submitted, and then it's running through all of these nodes. It's saying, was the person interested in having us contact them? Then put them in the sheet. And then this is the mock image creation here, where we just set the URL of some pre-made images. And then we say, was the person interested in being contacted, let's send them one email that has a calendar sign up in it. But if they weren't interested in image creation for their business, then we'll send them one that says, here's your image, have a great day. And then finally, if their budget was not 1 to 999, but over 1,000, we'll send the site owner, that would be you or me in this case, an email that says you have a lead who submitted the form who has a high budget, and that will give you a heads up that you might want to contact them. So the form will have a title, which you'll fill in, free image generator, and a description, enter your request to get a free image. And the form elements you'll start creating by clicking on this add field option. Every time you click add field, you can create a new field. And the first field is your first name. It's of type text, and your last name, type text, and I put a placeholder, and it's required. And then email is of type email, and the reason that it's not just text field is because the tool will check to see that what they input is a proper email pattern, and it's a required field. And then the image request is a drop-down list. So they're going to be able to select from either cat sleeping on a couch or cat sleeping on a person, and that's a required field. Then we ask them, does your business need image creation? And that will be a drop-down list of yes or no, and it's a required field. And then we'll ask about the budget, drop-down list, not needed, 1 to 999 a month or 1,000 and over, and it's a required field. We're also going to click on this add option down here at the bottom, and we'll select append N8N attribution and set it to off, and we'll select button label and change it to draw me a cat. When we click test step, we'll get the output of the form that we fill in, and it'll look like this on the right side here. So these are 3 different ways of looking at the same thing: schema, table, and JSON. We have Joan Bogart, Caroline at emfchannel.com, cat sleeping on a person, and we're going to, we got an instance of that in our Google Sheet. So the if statement is the first flow type of node that you're going to use. And it's saying if the person said yes, they need images for their business, we'll go to Google Sheets. And no, it's false that they need images, then we'll skip Google Sheets. And that looks like this. So up here in the comparison, we're saying, does a field value that they filled in, is it equal to yes? What did they fill in? Yes. Now, this code is not something that you actually need to be able to generate on your own, but it does help you a lot to understand what it is. So let's look at how it got in the field, and then let's talk about what it does. So does your business need image creation? This is a selectable and draggable field, and I'm going to drag it into the comparison condition. Inside the box, you have 2 curly braces on either side, and that's saying you're in code now. And then $JSON is shorthand for the information data that got passed from the previous node or from the form. Then the square brackets say this is an array. It's a member of an array, and the key into that array is, does your business need image creation? So there is a field that we are indexing into, and we're going to grab the value of that with this entire line here. We have a true branch and a false branch. If that field was equal to yes, then the true branch goes over to Google Sheets. And if it is not equal to yes, then the false branch does not. The true branch is highlighted because it was equal to yes. And so N8N sent all the data from that node into this node and then into Google Sheets. And that is why Google Sheets has a copy of the data from the form, because it was sent over from the previous if statement. Google Sheets is going to write the data from the form into Google Sheets. So I created a sheet called Jono Catliff N8N Mastery Class Lesson 1 or Less 1. It looks like I have a typo. And the values to send are just like we saw a second ago, we're going to pull first name over and last name over into each of the fields, and then each of those fields gets the data that was input into the form, and then they get written into the sheet. Next, this would be the node mock image creation, where if we added image creation to this automation, it would go here. I can add the image creation to the automation. If you're interested, just leave me a note in the comments. If they ask for cat on a couch, we're going to give them a pre-made image that I have up on Google Drive. If they asked for a cat lying on a person, we're going to give them a different image on Google Drive that I'm actually still waiting for ChatGPT to finish creating because it timed out. We want to send one email to people who are not interested in our services selling image creation, and we want to send another email to people who are interested. So let's look at the switch statement. This is going to do that logic for us. The way that I got the data in this field was exactly the way that I got the data earlier, except for one difference. In this case, we're going all the way back to the form and we're saying, get me the data from 5 nodes ago. And the question is, does your business need image creation? And then we, just like before, we pulled that into this field. It doesn't say $JSON here. The only time you see $JSON is for the most previous node, and that would be mock image creation in this case. That's the last thing that executed before we got to the switch statement. So the difference in the code that you're looking at is when it's the previous node, it says $JSON, but when it is any node prior to that that you're grabbing data from, it's the name of the node in parentheses in single tick quote. We're asking in this switch statement, are they interested in image creation? And then we create a path. If it is equal to yes, then we create a path called yes. And if that answer was equal to no, then we create a path called no. It gives us a yes path up to one email and a no path down to a different email. So if they are interested, the email that we're going to send them, oh, we got a little issue here. So if they are interested, we're going to say, dear person, here's your cat image. Let's talk about image creation for your business. With a budget of what they entered, you can generate up to a number that I completely made up out of whole cloth, digital images using AI every month. Let's talk about it. Click my calendar. This is not really a calendar. It's just mock data. This is a business email that you can create to generate more interest in your product. But we wouldn't want to send a business email like this to somebody who said, I'm not interested in creating images for my business. And so we're going to follow the no path. I'm not interested. We're going to say, dear person, here's your image. Have a nice day, right? No business talk. For the person who is interested in potentially having us build an image automation for them, if their budget is high enough, then we want to receive an email telling us we should get in touch with them right away. Then we want to send an email to ourselves saying that we should get on this. This is called a filter. If anything passes this test, then we move on. But if anything fails this test, then the whole automation stops. The different types of flow are if a statement is true, we go one way, and if the statement is false, we go another. The switch says if one condition is true, we go off one path. If the second condition is true, we go off a second path. If a third condition is true, we go off a third path. So it's a multi-path flow control. And then the filter flow control says if the condition is true, continue, but if the condition is false, then stop. So since this is the very last item in our automation, we can say only go to the last step if they have a budget that is over $1,000. The owner of the form, I get an email that says new lead, the name of the person, their email, and a reminder of the budget. That person who does not have a budget or an interest gets your cat picture, and I accidentally left end an offer in the subject. Dear Carolyn, here's your cat image, best Carolyn. So if you know anything about HTML, then you already know that this is an anchor tag and this is an href element. But if you don't know about HTML, then let's just do a little bit of simple coding. The email type is HTML, and these two angle bracket, BR angle bracket tags or elements are saying break. That stands for line break, and it means new line. So the fact that I'm hitting my return key and I'm making new lines is irrelevant to the email. When you get it, it's not going to look at that. It's going to look at what commands it receives. The anchor tag is taking the address on Google Drive. It's an HTTPS of the image. href argument is equal to a string with two quotation marks around it, right? Then the anchor text is cat image and then angle bracket slash a angle bracket, and that's saying end the anchor tag. So the anchor tag goes from the angle bracket A to the A angle bracket. Most of the time when you have a begin tag, you will have an end tag. And so the slash A is what closes this off. So that's how we got a link. So let's test the workflow. And this one is going to be Bob, customer. And Bob is interested on a cat sleeping on a person and is not images, interested in image creation and draw me a cat. And this is going to be Joe, customer. And Joe is interested in cat sleeping on a person, is interested in image creation for his business, and has a budget of $1 to $9.99. Sue, customer. Sue is interested in cat sleeping on a couch and does need image creation, and the budget is over $1,000. Draw me a cat. So here is the customer who does not have an interest in image creation services, and there is a picture of a cat sleeping on a person. Here is an email for the person who has a budget of $1 to $9.99, and their cat image is a cat sleeping on a couch. The last one, which is the $1,000 a month plus, they get the same email but different text as far as the budget, and they also got I'm partial to the cat sleeping. In our spreadsheet, we recorded that the customer who had $1 to $9.99 a month and the customer who had $1,000 and over a month are both in our spreadsheet, but only Sue had an email sent of her interest to the owner who should follow up and says, you have a new lead, and that's Sue, customer, and she has a budget of $1,000 a month. So that was lesson 1 based on Jono Catliff's Master N8N course, which I highly recommend that you watch.